Good morning, you guys. It is sunny, but it is chilly, and I'm going to talk to you about what I've done to prep for the cold, and perhaps I may have gone a little bit overboard with some things. There are things I'm willing to do again, some things not so much. But anyway, here we go. So now it's time to get my greenhouse prepared for this very cold weather. You can see here, I don't know if you remember it before, but it did not have the plastic sides down here because I had a shade cloth up over this thing, and I had these bottom edges kind of rolled up to about here on the top and for summer conditions. But now I have all my potatoes in here, and fortunately they kind of like cold weather, so I'm not too concerned about them. Since it's getting down now, they're predicting 33 instead of 35. I don't want them to freeze because they don't like freeze weather. So I'm gonna go ahead, and along this top middle bar is where I usually hang my extension cord. And I have one of those extension cords that has like a plug here and a plug here and a plug here. And that's kind of cool because I can hang my hen brood heater light. Well, they're not lights, they're just brood heaters that look like squashed light bulbs, but they don't light up. They just heat up. And I like that because in the plant world, plants need dark, and they do better with dark. And so, in fact, some plants simply won't flower or won't do anything but kind of exist if they don't get critical number hours of dark. Anyway, fortunately, that's not any of these kind of plants. But anyway, it's just better for their cycles to have dark. And then I will also put out radiator heaters. I have 2 that I'll put in here. And so let's get going on this. Okay, so I went and got my hen breeder lamps, whatever these things are called. I have it in one of these like little shop lamp bulb, whatever they're called, reflectors. But this is what I'm talking about. It looks like a squashed light bulb, and it heats up and it doesn't make any light. And that's what I like. And so I'm gonna hang these down using this garden twisty material you can get pretty much in any big box store. So that's my intent next. I got 3 of these guys to put in here. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, y'all, so I think I have my greenhouse more or less ready. I still have to pin down the bottoms of it so they won't blow up, but I'll show you what I've done. Here is the whole thing. I've got my little brood lights strung to, about 3.5 feet from the ground so that it's close enough to the plants to offer them some heat without burning them because they get pretty warm. I like these because they have this little on-off switch here. Actually, I think over here is the main switch. They make these little on-off plugs, and I might just do that here. That'll make my life easier. So as you can see up here, I have all these guys. I used zip ties here to string up the power cables. And then I love these extension cords because somebody was brilliant. They must be a gardener. And they put in plugs, 2 plugs along the length of it. It's a 25-foot cable. So I can plug in the brood lamps here. And then I have my radiator heaters out here. These little guys that you can get, they're kind of pricey now. At the time I got these, they weren't so bad. But I have 2 of these, and this one can plug into here. And the other one, this one, is going to plug into the master plug here. So that's more or less how I've got this thing rigged. This material here is good for the south, and in terms that we just don't get super cold. And if you have plants that are a little sensitive and you have some heat source, it will do. But the problem with this, I think I got this whole greenhouse from a company called Verver, I think it is that they don't sell replacement tarps. And for the life of me, I don't know why. At least last time I looked, they weren't selling them. And I don't know if they're just wanting you to buy a whole new greenhouse, but no, that's not gonna happen. So I'm going to try two things. I have another clear tarp, a 16 by 20, which is the size of this greenhouse. And it's exactly the same stuff. It's the same material that I can just hang over this one to kind of double it up. And then I thought, you're going to think this is so silly, but if it gets super cold, and sometimes it does, I may just go ahead and get some bubble wrap. And I know where I can go to like a loading dock area and get it for free. I'm going to maybe just put it down the length of these over here, maybe along the ground area where it's really cold, and see if, it's bubble wrap. It's insulated, right? So why not? I mean, it's not just good for packages to keep them from banging around, but it also is good for keeping the temperature adequate, I think, kind of insulated. I don't know. We'll see. This is one of those experiments. Okay, guys, got 2 tasks done today. Strawberries are planted. The greenhouse has been prepped. Now I'm coming back at the strawberries, but that's just because I'm starting here. I'm going to work my way around all my plants. But what I'm doing is I have this bale of alfalfa straw, or hay, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to put that in my strawberry bed to keep them warm. And then I'll probably still put a blanket over that anyway. These are peppers. Believe it or not, they all started as volunteer peppers from seeds from the grocery store. I just put some scraps in here for other reasons, but yeah, they're growing nice little peppers here. And in my tomatoes, I'm going to put hay there, straw. So I got some nice tomatoes going on. I really got to figure out how to get these guys protected. I got a few over there I need to harvest. So tomorrow maybe we'll do harvest. Go around and see what I have to harvest. All right, so I'm just gonna pull this out, throw some in there. So it occurs to me, I didn't tell you why I chose alfalfa straw over regular hay, which is a bit cheaper and easier to come by. But the reason I didn't is because the alfalfa isn't actually straw. It's not a grass. Hay that's grown in the south, or at least if you live south enough, they have to spray a particular couple of kinds of long-lasting herbicides on them because there's some weeds that grow around in the south that are very toxic to horses and cows. So they have to spray these herbicides on the hay to prevent these weeds from growing. And it's okay for the cows and the horses to eat the herbicide. It does not break down in their system from what I understand, but it does pass through their system and they poop it out, and then it goes into the grass, and then it just kind of perpetuates over the years. And if you try to use hay to grow your plants that's grown in the south, you're going to run into some problems because that hay is probably going to kill your crops. So you can't use the hay like they can up north. So if you can acquire some hay that is grown up north, it's probably, or north enough, it's probably fine to use for your garden. But just to play it safe down here, I'm going to just stick with the alfalfa because they can't use that kind of herbicide on the alfalfa because it'll kill the alfalfa too. So just wanted to let you know. Well, you guys, it's 80 degrees out here. It's so humid. I can't believe tomorrow is going to be freezing, but it's now going down to like 32, 33 degrees in our area. And I guess I should probably pick the fruits that I can, that I have growing before this freeze hits. And so let's just see. I have that bowl. It's kind of a huge bowl. I don't think I'll be filling that up very high, but let's just fill it up and see what I got. Done harvesting. So let's see, I didn't get a huge harvest, but I got a little bit more than I thought I would get. I get about this many Puerto Rican black beans every week. And so I got to shell those, and I still have to shell the last batch. It adds up to a lot. Got, you know, some bell peppers. I had to pick these poor little cucumbers early, and you can see there's a problem with them. See how that they're like cone shaped? I think I have uneven watering. The plants themselves look okay. I don't think it's a disease. Could be a nutrient problem. But I think it's inconsistent watering. So I'm starting to water them a little deeper, and we'll see if that fixes the skinny end problem. And oh, look at this, you guys. I am so excited. I have my first roselles. I'm very, very excited about that. You can see little fruit inside there. And then a variety of tomatoes. And I can't remember all the tomato varieties right now, but I'm not too disappointed. Wish it was a better harvest, but my plants are really only starting to get into that zone where they're producing anything at all. And of course, we're getting hit with a freeze because that's how it goes. So, yep. All right, that's it. All right, so now I'm down to needing to protect my tomatoes. I'm desperate to protect these. I don't know what else to do because this is a trellis system. How in the world can I put a bag on a trellis system? So I have a rather odd idea. I have these Mylar bags that I used to get frozen things in, and I just kept them because I figured they'd come in handy one day. And I'm going to cut these into strips and then tape the strips together and kind of, I guess, sort of adhere them to the strings and go around the outside here. I was considering maybe taping one half on the outside and then another half on the inside and just sort of let it tint over the tomatoes. We'll see. I've got a 50-foot roll of some of that frost blanket stuff. We'll see. Maybe I'll use both. All right, let's find out what happens. Okay, so this looks a little ridiculous, but I think it's going to do well. So here, looks like some flying saucer, right? So here I have, like, I cut open the old Mylar bags I told you I have, and it's actually pretty warm in there. But on the inside, I have this breathable frost blanket stuff that I got from one of the big box stores. And so it's tenting the tomatoes inside. The green side is breathable. The Mylar clearly isn't. That's all I can do. I don't know what else to do. So the other tomato pool, for whatever weird reason, we'll talk about this later, but those tomatoes aren't nearly as big as these tomatoes are. So that should be a little bit easier to do. All right, that's what I'm gonna go do. All right, you guys. So I've been preparing for this freeze for a couple of days, and perhaps some of you may think I've gone a little overboard, and maybe I did, but you know, this is the first year in a very long time, probably really ever, that I've had vegetables actually growing for me. So let me show you what I've been doing here. Here is my herb garden. Some of the herbs in here could have taken the freeze no problem whatsoever. Some of them not so much. Picked all the petalumas I had on there, and oh gosh, look, those little flowers. Why do they always flower right before freeze? Trying to at least give them a little protection. I don't know. Okay, let me explain things. I had to use what I had on hand. I just can't afford to go and buy like cloth for everything. So don't laugh at me here, but here, this is my roselles behind this bubble insulation silver Mylar covered stuff, and they're down in here. I'm really hoping, you guys, they are so full of little roselle buds, and I'm just really want them to survive. I really just want them to survive. So, I mean, what can I do? All right, this one is the one that had like 4 little eggplants on it. Ping tongue. All right, here are more roselles. I had to go with what I had. All right, so blankets and some cardboard. You know, cardboard's pretty good insulator. It doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to be warm. Covering more roselles. Under here, there's some tomatoes and cranberry hibiscus right here. Look, I know these probably really aren't going to survive. Oh, and I'm going to miss them when they go bye-bye. But, yep, the Puerto Rican black beans. I'm trying real hard. I have them sandwiched between tarps over here. I'm hoping that, there you go, can you see it? I'm hoping if I can just keep the wind off of them, maybe, just maybe, look how many beans there are. They're just beautiful. And I know I'm gonna have to let them go. So this is the only time I'm gonna try real hard to save them. Next time we get a frost, not so much. All right, under here is my chicory. I gotta see what temperatures they can tolerate. I honestly don't have the faintest clue. So here is my bok choy, kale. I guess I haven't shown you these in a little while. My broccolis of various kinds. I'm not gonna bother covering them up because frankly, they're gonna laugh at the cold weather. Same thing here. The lettuce is starting to come up. It's looking pretty good. Over in that far row over there are some broccolis. Are you gonna guide me, Pickle? You gonna help me? Take us to the greenhouse, maybe? All right, let's go. All right. All right. Oh, here's tomato bed 1. Another, it's all got tucked in with the cloth and the fabric and the bottom there. And outside, my silver mylar. So these guys I'm feeling pretty good about. All right, and inside we go. Gonna turn on my little brood light lamp, whatever. Over here, brood lamp number 2. Okay, they heat up pretty fast. And I'm gonna turn that on. All right, and brood lamp number 3. Okay, so here's the thing. It's November, and my peppers are just now big enough to plant. Guess where they're gonna live for the winter? Right here. Okay, maybe I can overwinter them. All right, they just take so daggone long to get started. I mean, look, here's a bunch more. I'm not letting them go. I'm fighting for them. All right, here's tomato bed number 2. All along here are my other tomatoes. Oh, banana tree back there. Well, that's it. Just wanted to show you how that was working out. And like I said, I may have gone overboard. Had to use my available supplies. So, gotta use your kidneys, right? All right, bye. This was a lot of labor of love, y'all. Labor of love. Okay, and this is my achote tree. It's that little red. In the tropics, they use it to like color rice red or other foods red. In industry, they actually use it to color lipstick and other red things. It's a very, very useful little plant. The achote really is more or less a tropical. So I'm gonna have to do something with that. I'm gonna put a Mylar bag on it. That's what I'm gonna do because Mylar bags are so warm. Okay, so a lot of covering up. Hi, Raj. A lot of covering up. Goodness. This is going to be fun to take down.
Well, it is post-freeze. A couple of days post-freeze. I just couldn't do anything until I was off for the week. So I was able to uncover my plants right the morning after the second night of freezing temperatures. So that because the temperatures were going up to 75 degrees. And of course, under the blanket, they would have smothered. Because that is just the schizophrenic nature of the Florida weather. Okay, do you remember? Like, they're doing great. All of them. They're doing great. So, do you remember how I had, like, that silver bubble wrap stuff up all around it and the blankets on top? And it was kind of ridiculous, but gosh, it worked well. I'm going to have to remember that method in the future. I did not cover this tomato at all. That's a Jersey Giant, which should have been dead a long time ago, and I probably ought to just yank it at this point. It did great. These guys need water, but outside of that, they all did well. These are my eggplants, ping tongue, and even their fruit.
All right, y'all. So apparently I accidentally deleted some of my post-freeze video. It's been about a week and a half since the freeze, but there's just really one thing I wanted to show you. So remember, I just talked about covering up the roselles with the Mylar bubble wrap and how well that worked. Well, here is a contrasting thing here. These poor little roselles here, These were the ones in the video that I just had the freeze cloth on. And these here were the ones that I also had freeze cloth on, but I also had the cardboard over them. And these did really well with the addition of the cardboard. But these poor little guys, without anything but that frost blanket, did not fare so well. My cucumbers really took a big hit, so I think I'm just going to take them out and give up for the season on those guys. They were just starting to make cucumbers. Isn't that the way it goes? I mean, look, just starting. Maybe truly they're just a better spring weather plant. Start them in the spring. The temperatures are only going to get a little warmer as the spring goes, so probably that's a better time to do cucumbers. Lesson learned here. Start my things a little bit earlier for my area. I guess I should have probably started these in cups about a month and a half earlier than I did. All right, so I'm gonna have to do it, y'all. It just got too cold. My poor Puerto Rican black beans, they really, really just did not fare well. I think what I'm gonna do is just cut them back down low, and I'll leave like a node or two. Like here's one node, there's another node. Nodes are where the leaves come out, and I'm just gonna cut them above a couple of nodes. I'm gonna harvest, and then I'm gonna just cut these guys back.
Are you taking a break? Was it hard? Was it hard taking all those vines? Yeah. Oh my goodness. It was so hard, Mommy, so hard.
Well, thank goodness for Roger's help. So here it is. Took a few hours, but that's what's left. I decided I was gonna go ahead and just keep what looked like healthy vinage and see what happens there. But maybe it'll grow back. I don't know when the next freeze is gonna hit, but till then, let's see what happens. So post-cold cleanup is done. Hi guys, so today is January 30th, and we have gone through probably 4 more freezes since the video was first made. Right now we're sort of in a no end freeze period. I mean, the 15-day outlook just has everything going down into the 20s or down into the 30s here in 9A, zone 9A. And so I kind of talked about a little bit what I thought might be worth it and what wasn't worth it to me to go through the effort of doing. So I'm going to show you. And while certain methods worked really, really well, it's just, was it worthwhile? I think as well as the freeze, the like silver foil I did for these poor little roselles, and they came through the freeze like a champ, and if I kept doing it, they would have kept coming through the freezes like a champ. But it was a lot of work, and probably with roselles, that's not the kind of thing I'm going to worry about anymore. I'll just plant more, and when the weather is more conducive. But we do know that method works, and so if you have plants that you find are just, you cannot live without, and you must keep them warm and keep them alive, the blankets with the silver bubble insulation stuff worked really well. So over here, I have really low-lying eggplants, and because they're so small, I can just take a blanket and easily cover them. Beds here with the celery and the lettuce. I am trying to keep them alive. Broccoli. So they just started to heading when all this freezing garbage came along. It's a little hard for me to cover this stuff and try to, and with the next 15 days still going out down into the 20s and 30s. The last time I covered my broccoli, it got cold enough where the heads did freeze. And is it worth it? Well, at this point with the broccoli, I'm just going to go ahead and pick the flowers. They're not going to be able to withstand the freeze anyway. Lettuce, it's trying to bolt at this point, and so I think what I'm going to do is just, some of it froze. I'm just going to go ahead and pick what is edible still and just let the rest go to compost or making broth. My sister likes to make broth. The Merlot lettuce, though, this is actually still doing really well. And my poor iceberg lettuce, it's so small, and it's because it's being shaded out by the broccoli. And again, this was poor planning on my part, putting tall things on the south facing side of the garden here. as opposed to planting them over here on the north side, because the sun, you know, it tracks more south in the winter. This is east, that's west, that's south. So poor planning on my part. Just keep that in mind when you're planting your garden. So yeah, lettuce is gonna go. As you can see, it's gotten some pretty bad freeze damage. I mean, that's pretty bad. Some of the inner leaves are okay. Okay, so clearly the Puerto Rican black beans that I left just died, and died hard. Definitely not worth trying to save the Puerto Rican black beans. They produce prolifically during the warm seasons. Take that, you'll have beans all winter long. Just plant new ones. Just save 2 or 3 and plant new ones the next spring. Remember when I covered those tomato pools and they looked like spaceships or something? Well, I have since then cleared all the tomatoes out, and I have planted a cover crop. And that was a lot of work, guys. When winter comes and you're getting into the freezing weather, I have discovered that probably it's not worth trying to save the tomatoes. Just let them go. And just prep the area for the next round of tomatoes to come. The only tomatoes I am working to save are the ones that were planted in a manner that was much easier to cover them. And that is these tomatoes here, which I showed earlier. There's just sort of in a standard trellis-like fixture up here. And so they're a lot easier to cover. But this time, because these tomatoes were doing so well, I used some cardboard on the outside of that to go around the ends. And the reason is because the end ones, you can see down there, they're not good. And over here, these end ones over here suffered. The middle ones, you know, took a little damage, but they're okay. So they were protected by the edges. So I decided to go ahead and just take the cardboard, because that worked so well for the cranberry hibiscus. I'm kind of torn. So I'm not expecting them to survive. So what I've done, and this may just be what I do from now on, if I want to really have some tomatoes I don't want to overwinter, pick off some branches that you're looking pretty healthy before your first frost hits. Don't wait until like the 5th one like I did. And just try to root those, because if you root those are genetically mature tomatoes. And so they're going to fruit really fast in the spring. So just go ahead, pick them off, stick them in some water. I put them in the root tone and put them in dirt, and that works better for me. So what I would say generally is just go ahead and let the tomatoes go. If you have a couple that you just can't live without, take the branches off, root them, put them in a pot, and overwinter them in the pot. Let the roselles go, let the cranberry hibiscus go. Lettuce, broccoli. Lessons learned for me, broccoli going into the winter, I'm going to plant about a month earlier than I did, maybe even the lettuce too. And so that I can get a lot of stuff out of them before the first freeze hits. So the lettuce, you know, some lettuces can take the freeze, some of them not so much. But there's only one more thing now I want to talk to you about a little bit. So you guys, I'm going to give you a little bit of update on Green Thumb's garlic. So she's out of town, family emergency sort of thing. So I'm going to help her out by showing you her stuff a little bit. With regard to the freeze, clearly the garlic is doing very, very, very well. There's 2 varieties in here that are soft neck, southern garlics. The rest of them are hard necks, which laugh at the snow and the freezes. And they're like, whatever. But the soft necks are a little bit more sensitive to the cold. However, having said that, I can't tell which ones are doing worse or better, and they all seem to be doing really well. The other thing we need to talk about with regard to what she's got going on is her dragon's lair. So the last freeze with her dragon's lair, she had put these like tree cover things on over all the little growing trellises. It got really cold, and dragon fruits, as you may or may not know, are very warm weather plants. So they're, you know, succulents, cactuses. And while a lot of cactuses can take quite cold temperatures, the dragon fruits can't take quite that cold. So let me unzip it and show you the inside. Okay, so when she had these these covers on, just the covers by themselves, the dragon fruits did suffer underneath. The ones that happened to be growing tall enough to get up to the top up here, you can see it's yellow, it's squishy, it's dead. And down here, clearly a lot of frost damage here. So of course, when she had to leave, we were getting another very deep freeze, again down into the 20s. And so these worked so well for the roselles that I decided I'll put them around the base of the dragon fruits, because honestly, all you need, from what she tells me, is that the last bottom 6 inches need to survive and the plants can grow back. I'm going to let her finish telling you about the dragon fruits when she gets back, because she is the dragon fruit expert, and well, relative to me anyway. And she's going to tell you a lot more about that. But I just wanted to show you what I prepped for the cold for the dragon fruits. And was it worth it? Yeah, for the dragon fruit, it's worth it. They're so unique and they make really good fruit. And she says she's got an idea to help keep these warmer later. And I'm gonna have to let her explain that to you, because right now I don't even know what that plan is. So I just wanted to show you what I did to cover the dragon fruit and help save their lives during the next 10, 15, 20 days, years, weeks. I don't know what's going on with the weather. But anyway, that's what I did. So the day before the big freeze, I am going ahead and harvesting what I can lettuce for dinner for tonight. I'm gonna have to harvest all the rest of my lettuce tomorrow, because it's not gonna withstand, 20, 19 degrees, which is predicted to get down to, with maybe exception of the iceberg. I'm not sure about the Merlot. I'm gonna risk the Merlot and go ahead and leave that in. But so this is what I harvested for tonight's dinner. One of the Pablo crisp heads, and the red, it's a red romaine. I can never remember the name of, you guys. My tango leaf, and a variety, some of the heads of the broccoli that we can throw into this salad. So that's going to be dinner tonight. So the weather is forcing us to eat a little more healthy, at least. So there's that, the silver lining, right?